Hey guys, Jeffrey Michael here, and welcome to another edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. I'm in a particular happy mood this week because my MoviePass card just came in the mail. For those of you who don't know, MoviePass is a subscription service. For $9.95 a month, I can go to one movie a day with my MoviePass card. So that means I can watch up to 31 movies per month for just $9.95. I mean, for a movie lover like me, that's a dream come true. So if you're also a movie lover, I would recommend getting a MoviePass card. I mean, it's well worth it. Anyway, on with the reviews. In this video, I will be reviewing the movies that were released on March the 23rd, 2018. Okay, the first film that I will review for you is Pacific Rim Uprising, rated PG-13. It stars John Boyega, Kaylee Spaney, Scott Eastwood, and Rinko Kikuchi, and was the directorial debut of Stephen S. DeKnight. He's directed TV before, but this is his first time directing a movie. So Pacific Rim Uprising is the sequel to the 2013 film Pacific Rim. For those of you who've never seen Pacific Rim, don't worry, a brief synopsis. Pacific Rim was set in the near future. An interdimensional rift opened up in the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, and out of that rift from another dimension came these ginormous monsters that the humans called kaiju. Kaiju is the Japanese word for strange beast, so there you go. And these kaiju were leveling all the coastal cities along the Pacific Rim, hence the title. And so the humans developed these ginormous hundreds of feet tall robots, or mechas, they called Jaegers, which is the German word for hunter, fittingly. And so they train these Jaeger pilots to go inside these Jaegers and control them, like Power Rangers, kind of. And so it was basically Jaegers versus kaiju, like Robot Rumble, but with, kaiju monsters. And so the first movie ended. One of our main characters, played by Idris Elba, Stacker, sacrificed his life in order to make a huge explosion to close the rift to the other dimension once and for all. No more kaijus. Yay, save the day! Until a sequel came along and, it's, oh, man, they're back. Anyway, so the sequel, Pacific Rim Uprising, is set 10 years after the original. Stacker's son, Jake, played by John Boyega, he used to be a Jaeger pilot himself, but now without the kaiju around anymore, he's now turned to the opposite side of the law, where he's now stealing Jaeger parts from junkyards, and he's selling them on the black market. And during one of the times when he's stealing these parts from a latest junkyard, he comes into contact with a runaway teenager named Amara, and she has her own secret place where she's creating her own Jaeger miniature version of a Jaeger, and she calls Scrapper. Here's the problem, though. Creating your own unlicensed Jaeger is illegal. So it's not long before the two of them are arrested by the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps. And their general secretary also happens to be Jake's adopted sister, Mako Mori, played by Rinko Kikuchi, reprising her role from the first film. And she basically tells Jake, you have a lot of promise. You can either go to prison or you can come with us and you can help us be a Jaeger pilot trainer. And, Amara here, she's got great skills. She can be your recruit. He's all, oh, great, because she got him into this mess. And so he's taken to their base, and he's, becoming a Jaeger pilot trainer, along with his former co-pilot, Nate, played by Scott Eastwood. They're estranged, and they really do not like each other. And the main problem with the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps are worried because the Shao Corporation is creating their own drone program where they're having remote-controlled Jaegers. And she's worried about that because not only is it going to put pilots out of business, but also because, remote-controlled Jaegers could prove to be, disastrous. And it happens exactly as she predicted because a rogue Jaeger goes wild and levels half of Sydney, Australia. And to make a long story short, once again, the rift in the ocean gets reopened and more kaiju come forth, and it's Jaegers versus kaiju all over again. And honestly, to be honest, I'm not sure exactly how the rift got open, even after watching the movie. Other than, it's a sequel and it has to be reopened in order for the kaiju to come back, Jaegers versus kaiju again. That's the only explanation. I mean, that's logical that I could find. Now with my review, the first Pacific Rim, I liked it. I mean, it was a little derivative and cliche-filled for an action film, but it had heart, and, I was entertained. I mean, come on, robots fighting monsters, how can you not be entertained by that? But this sequel, I felt, once again, it's not only derivative and cliche-filled, but it just doesn't have that heart anymore. I mean, there are cool action scenes, of course, and visual effects and all, but I don't know. I mean, the actors, I mean, did a good job, but I just didn't have much fun. It was not as exciting, kind of boring this time around. I mean, when you've already seen the same movie and it's just the same thing, but not nearly as, it's more technical. I mean, they clearly, this was a cash grab sequel where they made it just so they get more money, but I didn't see any heart put into this one, honestly. I mean, I think if I had to give a grade for this one, I would give it a C, just a C, because it's average. It's not bad or even good. It's just average. I mean, I wouldn't recommend this one, Ladies and Germs. I mean, if it cuts when it comes on HBO or one of those pay-per-view channels, in the near future, and you can see it for free, go ahead. That's when I would say you would watch it. But in the movie theater, paying money, no. I mean, I don't think I've even recommend you use your Movie Pass card in this one. Anyway, so as if you want to see a movie with giant robots fighting monsters, that's all you want to see it for, then go ahead. If you want to see an actual movie with actual heart, then no, don't. So the next film that I'll review for you is Sherlock Gnomes, rated PG. It stars the voice talents of Emily Blunt, James McAvoy, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Mary J. Blige, and Johnny Depp, and was directed by John Stevenson, who also directed the other animated film Kung Fu Panda. Now, Sherlock Gnomes is the sequel to the 2011 film Romeo and Juliet. For those who've never seen Romeo and Juliet, don't worry, another synopsis here. So Romeo and Juliet was set in England. There are these two rival neighbors who lived next door to each other, and they both had garden gnomes in their gardens. One neighbor had blue gnomes with Romeo, played by James McAvoy, and the other neighbor had red gnomes with Juliet, played by Emily Blunt. And basically, they just recreated the story of Romeo and Juliet. You all know it by now, don't you? Star-crossed lovers, feuding families, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, not really original or inventive, this movie. And so, for whatever reason, even though the first one didn't really make much money, they made a sequel, Sherlock Gnomes. Once again, they decided to adapt another piece of English literature, Sherlock Holmes, in case you couldn't figure that out. Anyway, so Sherlock Gnomes starts off, Sherlock Gnomes and Watson, played by Johnny Depp and Chiwetel Ejiofor, respectively, are solving the latest case, thwarting the latest plot by his longtime rival, Moriarty. Moriarty stole a bunch of guard gnomes all across London and planned to smash them all until Sherlock Gnomes intervened in his plans and caused Moriarty to be smashed instead, even though they actually didn't find his smashed body. Always check for a body, people. Anyway, so Romeo and Juliet and their families are moving with their owners into London. The owners who once rivals are now married lovers. And so they find a new place in London where their gnomes have their own garden, much smaller, in the city. And so the families elect Romeo and Juliet as the new leaders of the garden. No nepotism involved there. And so Romeo decides, oh, this garden needs a nice big flower. So he goes off to the flower shop down the street for Juliet, and she follows him. Are you crazy? You're going to expose us to humans. They're gnomes that come to life. You can't be seen by humans. And so they manage to get back. By the time they get back, the other garden gnomes, they're gone. They've been taken. Where are they? On the scene, cue to the scene on Sherlock Gnomes and Watson arrive there trying to solve the case. Who are you? I'm Sherlock Gnomes, here to solve your case, finding your garden gnomes. And so he finds a clue, which makes him believe, oh, Moriarty must be involved, even though he was presumably smashed, even though they didn't actually find a smashed body. Like I said, find the body first. And so they all join together, Romeo and Juliet and Sherlock Gnomes and Watson, to track down their gnomes and save the day. That's pretty much the whole plot right there. I mean, it's not really, extensive or kind of complex. To be honest, I'm not sure why they made this sequel, because the first film I didn't even see in theaters. I saw it, on TV, and, it's just, it's a nice, average animated film, but the jokes, there aren't that many great ones, and it was just kind of boring, really. And this sequel, unfortunately, isn't any better. I mean, the jokes, they're still there, but, few and far in between. Most of them are just lame. I mean, there's butt jokes, a lot of butt jokes, and there's also farting jokes, gnome farts. It's like a garden gnome, a ceramic garden gnome farts that does not make any sense. And besides, if you have to resort to a fart joke, you got nothing. I mean, basically, that's it. I mean, it's a nice movie to show your little kids, distract them while you're, drinking some wine or, enjoying time to yourself. But for, a movie for all ages, littlest kids only, this movie. And it feels like the actors knew that, and they just phoned their performances in. I mean, there was no actual, zust to the dialogue, tells that they had, heart in this. They just wanted their paycheck so they could go home. But it's funny, because the trailer boasts all these famous names during this movie, and also original music by, Bernie Taupin and Elton John. And it's like, okay, clearly you know you've got a turd and you're just highlighting all these big names because you know you got nothing. So it's like, oh, look at all these famous people. Come see our movie. No, thank you. For this movie, I give it C minus. I mean, it's below average, really. I didn't have fun watching this, and I don't recommend it to anyone. I mean, if there's one mystery that I would give Sherlock Gnomes to solve, it's, find the reason behind why this movie was made, because I don't know. Find it for me. That's one mystery you should try to solve. So the next film that I will review for you is Midnight Sun, rated PG-13. It stars Bella Thorne and Patrick Schwarzenegger and was directed by Scott Speer, who also brought you the film Step Up Revolution. So Midnight Sun is an American remake of a Japanese film with the same name. It's about an 18-year-old girl named Katie, played by Bella Thorne. She's just graduated high school, but she's been homeschooled her whole life and has to stay indoors all the time with black-tinted windows because she actually has a rare condition called xeroderma pigmentosum, or XP. It basically means that if any direct sunlight with UV rays hits her skin, then she could get cancer and it could spread to her brain. So she's had to stay indoors and can only go out at night her whole life. I mean, she's been pretty miserable her whole life. But every day, as she's being homeschooled, she looks out her window at the same time, and a boy always goes past her house on the way to school, and his name is Charlie, played by Patrick Schwarzenegger. Yes, Schwarzenegger, son of Arnold, former governor of California, that one. And one day, she likes to play guitar. One day, she goes out at night to a train station to play guitar, for pennies or whatever. And Charlie's walking by, he hears the music. Oh, who's playing that music? And it's so ridiculous. And he, follows it and sees, oh, it's her? I mean, another ridiculous moment. And you know what happens next, right, with these movies? It's a very awkward meet cute. She says, no, you can't be with me. Why not? I can't tell you. And of course, she doesn't tell him about her condition. And he finally, pursues her, and her best friend says, come on, you got to do this. This guy he's been watching your whole life. And so she does, and they date, as any couple does. And then of course there's the moment where he takes her out all night, and I gotta get back before the sun rises. Why? And he wonders what's going on here. And I mean, we all know where it goes from there, right? I don't need to explain much more. I mean, I'll just get right down to it. Why don't I? Before I start my review, let me just start out by saying that after Fault in Our Stars and Everything, and now this movie, does every teen romance film have to have one half of the couple, usually the female, have a rare or life-threatening illness? I've noticed this now like several times. It's like, can't there just be a normal, happy, healthy couple in a movie? I mean, how many of those? I mean, even with that, unique twist in the movie, this movie reads generic romance comedy. I mean, there's not much here that I would recommend. I mean, it has its cute moments and, tear jerkers, but it kind of feels flat and bland, like you kind of don't buy it. Just because, first of all, it's a short movie. It's only 90 minutes with credits, so a lot of scenes are just, montages, of them going out, and it's like you're rushing through a lot of the story here. And all it feels so, like I said, generic. Like it feels like they went to a romantic comedy stock library. Okay, main girl with illness, check. Perfect boyfriend, check. Overbearing father, annoying best friend, check, check. I mean, it's all there, all the romantic comedy tropes that we're used to, and all the cliches, and I mean, it goes exactly the way you expect it to, and not much conflict. And would I recommend this one? I mean, if it's the very first romance film you will ever see in your life, then you'll probably like it. But if you've seen like a lot of romance before, which is pretty much everybody, then no. My grade for it would be a C minus. I mean, I thought it below average. I was bored. It was just nothing. I mean, if you really want to see a nice romantic comedy, then I would recommend you go and see Love, Simon, like I reviewed my last video. I mean, that's a good one. This one, nah. I mean, even with it's kind of a movie that I wish I did have XP so I could stay home and, not have to see it. No, not really, but moving on. So the last movie that was in wide release on March the 23rd was Unsane, rated R. It stars Claire Foy and Joshua Leonard and was directed by Steven Soderbergh, who brought you such great films as Erin Brockovich, the Ocean's 11 trilogy, Contagion, and Behind the Candelabra. Now, Unsane is about a woman who has just moved to a new city and got a new job because she's been terrorized by a potential stalker the last 2 years. And throughout the movie, she unwittingly signs documents that commits her to a psychiatric ward against her will. And when she's trapped there, one of the orderlies she sees is the stalker who's been stalking her the last couple of years. Or is it? Could she really be crazy in the head all this time? Ooh, it's one of those movies. Unfortunately, ladies and germs, I regret to say I did not get a chance to see this movie before making this video, so... but I will say, though, it is my #1 recommendation in this video. Now, that's a pretty bold claim, isn't it? To say that a movie I haven't seen is also my #1 recommendation in this video. And here's why. The other 3 movies that I did see in this video, they all got C grades from me, and I do not recommend any of them to you. So, and this movie, even though I didn't see it, it's been getting praise from professional critics and audiences alike. So, by that default alone, I would recommend this movie that I haven't seen yet, other than the other 3 movies that I did see and do not recommend to you. So, there you go. Need I say more? Everyone go and see Unsane from this group of movies. I got nothing funny or witty to say this time, so we'll just go right to the recap, huh? Recap: Pacific Rim Uprising, C. An action film that's derivative, boring, and a cash cow of a sequel. Unless you want to see robots and monsters fighting each other, I wouldn't recommend it. Sherlock Gnomes, C-. Another cash cow animated sequel that had no reason to exist. You know, boring, lame jokes. The only mystery to solve is why we even want to see it in the first place, so don't bother. Midnight Sun, C-. Another generic, cliche-filled, lifeless teen romance film with yet another terminally sick teenager trying to find love. Don't bother for the 3rd time. And finally, Unsane. No grades as I didn't see it, but it's my #1 recommendation in this video because the other movies I don't recommend, so there you go. And that'll do it for another edition of Jeffrey Michaels Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody. See you next time.